What, I'm a millisecond off.
Yeah,
I mean, it just, I mean, I tried new shampoo, so I'm headbanging, bro.
Big day on the show, guys. Lonzo tried new shampoo.
Bro.
When's the last time you switched shampoo?
It's like amazing. Well, this particular brand has coconut in it. They didn't have my usual, so I went with, my barber suggested I go with things that make my hair look fuller, which, that way I don't look like that dude in Florida whose hair is straight. Stop all the confusion. Do you use the same? I know we're starting out with shampoo talk, but you know what? Deal with it.
This could be about anything, right?
Yeah.
This could be about anything. We all have our
habits.
We all have our habits that we fall into. And I think most of them, you don't even think about it, right? So I used for many years one particular brand of shampoo. And then one day I went to the store, same situation. They didn't have my normal stuff, but I had to have shampoo. So I just grabbed a different brand. And now I'm that guy, right? Now I'm team that brand. I'm on the, what's the purple bottle? The Australian, whatever, something down under. I don't know.
Kangaroo.
Sure. It's in a purple bottle. And now I'm that. But see, recently I asked the fiance when she was out and about to pick me up some new deodorant, right? I've been using the same deodorant for like 20 years. And I recently asked her to pick me some up. She asked me what kind I wanted. And I said Old Spice, which is what I've always used. I've always been an Old Spice guy. But I've always bought the same flavor my whole life. And I didn't really think about the fact that they have like 30 flavors of Old Spice. So she just grabbed one, right? Now, I had always used the blue gel kind, but she got me the old school white, chalky kind. She got me that, and I hate it. I hate it. The smell's good, but it's that white kind of chalky pasty stuff, and it gets all over my shirts and everything if I'm not careful when I put them on, and I absolutely hate it. So I will never switch away from deodorant, but now every time I got to get new shampoo, I think about going to a new brand of shampoo. I'm like, well, I switched once and it worked great. What if I switch to something else and it's even better?
See, I think
it's a big deal asking a dude to break his brand loyalty after years.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think guys are more loyal to brands. It's like, yeah, that works. I'll just use that forever.
Yeah.
So I'm Irish Spring guy. I like Irish Spring. I'm going to go with Irish Spring forever. There are different varieties of Irish Spring. But they're still Irish Spring. I just, that's what I had when I was a kid. I like it because I'm an Uber nerd, certain soaps break me out. It does not. So, I'm sticking with that. And I think just like guys with sports or food or anything else, I don't think it's laziness. I think it is what you said. I think it's brand loyalty to a degree. And it's also, hey, that works. So I'm just going to use it forever.
Yeah. I've got my stuff I use. I don't break away unless there's just zero other options. And sometimes I break away and I'm like, this is great. Sometimes I break away and I'm like, I hate everything about this. I can't wait to go back.
Although there are some guys in the building. I bet they have the cabinet and they have that section in the shower where they have multiples where they decide, today I think I'll go with this.
Now, there's certain stuff with that I'm good with. Colognes.
Okay.
I've got like 7 different flavors of cologne.
Yeah, I don't wear cologne in the woods because bears come after you.
The texter who just said, Rob, I think you mean scents, not flavors. Yes, it is a joke. I'm aware the difference between taste and smell. I have like 7 different bottles of cologne, and each one serves a different purpose, right? I've got different colognes for different setups.
Purpose like what?
One is the cologne that the lady friend prefers. So
all right.
Date night, that gets broken out. One is a little bit more like classic masculine. If I'm going to a business meeting, that's going to be predominantly dudes. I go with that one. One of them is a little bit stronger of a smell. I know if I'm going somewhere that I'm going to be sweating a little bit, I'll throw that on because it kind of can cover up the standard light BO that comes along with being a fat guy in the sun. I have got one that is very, very toned down. So if I'm going somewhere that I want to present myself but not stand out in any way, I use that, right? There are things it's good to have an option with, but
you walking into a room and not standing out, I don't think is possible.
I try sometimes.
Okay. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a show lined up for you today on the radio broadcast, and I am looking forward to getting into some of the things that I do. And I want to start right out of the gate because yesterday I came to not a realization because I knew this already, right? I knew this already, but it was pointed out to me courtesy of a couple of SEC coaches that sometimes football coaches are either dumb or intentionally misleading. Let me give you what I mean by this. Two comments from two different SEC coaches, and I do have a third I'm going to get to, though I don't think his are quite as egregious, but I'm going to open up with Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze is a very interesting character study in college football coaching. Hugh Freeze, who of course coached around high school and college football. He is the head coach at Auburn University. He has coached at Ole Miss, Arkansas State, Liberty, et cetera, et cetera. Hugh Freeze has had recruiting violations and hypocrisy follow him around his entire career. So the hypocrisy of the statements Hugh Freeze has made over the years doesn't shock me, nor should it shock anyone who has followed his career with any interest at all. Remember, Hugh Freeze is the guy that had to resign from a very lucrative job at Ole Miss when it was discovered that he had used a university cell phone to call escort services or, hookers at least a dozen times over 33 months.
I think escort services aren't allowed to provide those services, right? That's against the law.
Wink. We're on the radio, so people couldn't see me wink, so I said wink.
But they could on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. You could see it there.
Wink. Of course they weren't. Of course they don't.
Well, it was going to dinners or things like that, and he didn't want to look like a solo guy because,
sure.
in certain settings, it makes you look more like a family guy or something. Yeah.
Especially considering how often Hugh Freeze was out there touting family values and being a wholesome Christian, et cetera, et cetera. Blatant, rampant, ugly hypocrisy. Anyway, the SEC
seems like you take a little more joy in stuff like that.
I take joy in people being blatant, wide open hypocrites? No, I don't take joy in it. I take joy when they're exposed.
Okay.
I absolutely do. I absolutely do. Right? I once again lean on my illustration of Tiger Woods. I'm not mad at Tiger for running around with loose women. It's his life, his money. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He can get with all the loose women he wants. I get mad at the hypocrisy of Tiger Woods. That's the difference. I don't care if a college football coach wants to go home with a hooker every night of the week, every week of the year. They're consenting adults. They can do what they want. It is not my job to legislate or judge your life. What I get mad at is the hypocrisy. What I get mad at is preaching Bible verses and how people should live their life the way you think they should live their lives while they're doing this in the background. The joy is them getting busted and called out for it. Anyway, that same Hugh Freeze is down at the SEC meetings that are taking place in Destin, Florida right now. My old stomping grounds, down in Miramar Beach, if you want to get specific. Well, while he was down there, Hugh Freeze decided to complain just a little bit about the transfer portal era. Hugh was talking about roster transitions, was talking about player movement, was talking about recruiting, et cetera, et cetera. And Hugh Freeze said, and I quote, "You're up at night asking yourself, does my way still work? Question mark. Hugh. Dude, no, stop. Hey, Lonzo, let me ask you a quick question. You've worked here for how long?
23 and a half years.
23 and a half years. Since you started working here 23 and a half years ago, has your job changed at all?
A ton.
Let me ask you a different question. Let me see if I can phrase this a little better so that old Hugh gets it. Hey, Lonzo, has your job changed since last Monday?
A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hugh, no one wants to hear you whine. Do you know why? Because every person with a job anywhere has to routinely and consistently ask themselves the question, does my way still work? That's how jobs work. That's how work works. Just because you don't like the change to your job or like the change to your profession, you have two options. You can shut up and do it, or you can go do something else. But this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say that I am tired of old football coaches complaining, college football has changed so much. Yeah, yes, it has. It has changed so much so that the heaps of money involved are now finding their way to new parties, predominantly, and I'm sure this is the party, though he won't say it out loud, that he was most upset about, to the people who, play the game, that actually provide us the entertainment. See, if we were entertained by college football coaches, we would be happy to all sit down and just watch roundtables of coaches discussing what a hypothetical game looks like in their brain. But that's not what we like. We like players playing football. So, Hugh, here's a quick tip. Jobs change, careers change, professions change, and aspects of your job change. And if you don't like that, maybe you're just not cut out to be that guy.
I get that he's on your list and everything, and he should be. But he didn't call a press conference just to say that, right? Someone asked him the question. And if someone asks you a question, then you got to believe that someone wants to hear the answer. I'm just saying, someone out there wanted to hear that answer.
I mean, listen, he
didn't drop that because he's mad. He just dropped it because he's Rob.
Correct. I don't actually know if this was a response to a question. I don't know if this was a response to a discussion. I don't know if this was at a round table. And frankly, I don't care.
See, I do believe, and I've said this for a while, I do believe it's got to be harder to coach right now. And I know, again, it's their job. Figure out how to do it. But the environment has changed so much, and it's so fluid, and it changes from day to day without regulation with all this stuff, that there are no definites anymore. There's no, this guy committed to me. Wait a minute. Someone offered him more money. He's going somewhere else. It's just, I mean, I think you've got to get used to it, but I don't think there's any way you can completely prepare for it.
Zoe, again, that's true in all the jobs.
Yeah, but see, I can adapt myself to whatever, but not knowing what 5 kids who are coming to my school and I've got them slated to be starters, suddenly they get offered money somewhere else and they go somewhere else. Knowing that now I got to fix this real quick. And again, his job, or he won't have a job. It's got to be more difficult to do this job.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
I'm willing to give them a little sympathy for the difficulties that they have to deal with right now. You are harsh and mean and do not give them any at all.
I'm tired of hearing about it, right? How many times have you had somebody slated to come in and run a show, and then you get the text 20 minutes before airtime, hey, man, I got a sick kid. I got a flat tire. I'm throwing up.
Let's face it, I whine like nobody's business about it. Yeah, I do the job once I get in there, but I do whine about it.
No,
I know I do. And I hate that about me, but I'm 54. I'm not going to fix that.
You do what everyone else in America has to do. You slam your hand into the desk, you get angry for 30 seconds, and then you go do the job. You get it done, right? Is Hugh Freeze going to go do the job and get it done? Of course he is. He's getting paid millions of dollars to do it. He's going to get it done. I'm just tired of the same coaches whining about the same three things over and over.
And all I'm saying is one way to not hear it is to not have certain media members setting them up to give these answers every time. So somebody out there wants to hear this. Somebody out there is going, yeah, I completely agree with you, Freeze.
Oh, yeah, there are. And they're all other old football fans.
Agreed.
It's other old football fans who go, these damn kids don't deserve anything.
Would you say
you get a scholarship? Shut up and play.
Would you say, and I'm still not defending, but would you say in radio terms, would you say that Hugh Freeze is speaking to the demographic that he wants to speak to? The people that are on his side, the people that agree with him.
No, because here's the thing. It's much like in any debate about anything, right? Politics, finance, whatever. It's just like in any debate and anything. It does you no good to speak with people who already agree with you, right? You change nothing by speaking to people who already agree with you. You change things by speaking to people who do not agree with you and actually giving good reasons for them to change their mind. It's not just about debating. It's about giving good, empirical, factual evidence to get them to change their mind. What has Hugh told me here? What has Hugh said at any point since he started Gripe Fest 2020 with a transfer portal? What has he given me, told me, said that's made me go, oh, word, okay. Cool, yeah, no, good point. Nothing. It's the same three complaints from the same group of older coaches who just don't want things to change because it makes their job harder. My man, you are getting paid $7 million a year. I don't care. If you were getting paid $50,000 to coach football, I'd be a little more sympathetic. I really would. But for a dude who got busted up for repeatedly lying, for being out there preaching while calling up hookers and spending time with them, and yes, I'm assuming, but probably lining a few of those ladies of the evening up with potential recruits. I don't want to hear about your recruiting struggles. If you're not good at the job, get the hell out. Turn it over to somebody who's a young cat who is willing to do that work. Stop your griping when you're making $7 million a year. Knock it off. Knock it off. Now, here's the fun thing. Hugh Freeze wasn't the only one who decided to pop off yesterday. Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri did too. And he said something, Lonzo, remarkably more stupid. And I'm going to tell you what that is when we come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown, the great when Lonzo's at the board. We didn't even introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Rob. That's Lonzo. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate.
I'm sorry. Yo.
Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate. Go to YouTube, search and subscribe to The Fan Upstate, or go to Twitch, search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. You can come on board and watch the stream for free. Interact with Zoe and I behind the scenes. Interact with the other members of the Rob Brown Armada. We'd love to have you on The Rob Brown Show and The Fan Upstate. All right. Look at me and Kevin agreeing on something. That's fact. You're making $7 million a year. Shut up and coach. Diggs, what's up, big fella? Good to have you in the stream, my man. Come on by. Trey, I saw your Sir Mix-a-Lot joke. I don't think you have any reason to apologize. It was funny. I think we just missed it.
I got to be honest. I missed it. So, I mean, things are fairly fast-paced and things, as some people say, scroll away. And if you're not looking, sometimes you miss things.
No, you're good, buddy. I remember I don't remember exactly what the joke was, but I remember chuckling at it. We just didn't get to it on the air, but you're good. Hooker is an offensive word. What's the political correct way to say hoe for rent? Escort or sex worker. Kevin said Cool Water is my go-to cologne. Me too, Kevin, in 7th grade. Cool Water was it when we were in middle school.
So I thought he was just talking about taking a cold shower. I just.
Cool Water was the cologne of choice for every middle schooler in my county.
By the way, it's not that I stink. I shower daily, but cologne, I have trouble with strong smells. It messes my sinuses up. Yeah. Yeah.
So she literally had to be like this one. And that's all I wear on date night.
Okay. Good morning, Steven.
2023 is almost half over, and time flies when you're having fun, but you might not be having as much fun if you're still dealing with that knee or hip pain. Enough's enough. Pills are not the answer. Surgery is not the answer. You need to call QC Kinetics today. Hey, it's Rob Brown. The advanced regenerative medicine solutions at QC Kinetics can give you a life without chronic joint pain. You can do all those summer activities you used to enjoy. Again, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in taking healing properties from your own body and applying them right into your achy joints so your joint tissue can be repaired and restored naturally. This treatment is revolutionary, and patients across America are having life-changing results. There's no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. So if you have pain in your knees, back, shoulders, hips, you need to stop what you're doing and call QC Kinetics for a free consultation right now at 864-448-3772 in Greenville and Asheville. 864-448-3772. It's QC Kinetics.
Join the Greenville Triumph as they celebrate the passion for the world's game with Fiesta de Football on Saturday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. against South Georgia Tormenta FC at Furman's Paladin Stadium. Get your tickets and join the team as they celebrate the upstate's Hispanic culture with
Sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm just
and community recognitions during the
looking at stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm guessing that's Brute, not Brut, because Brut could be something totally different. Oh man, high karate was the choice back in my day. What is that? What's the axe?
Brute.
Is there?
Axe
So I have a question. Is there an age limit on axe? Is there? When you reach a certain age, you should no longer wear axe anymore?
17.
Okay, I'm just curious.
17.
I'm just curious. I mean, I've never worn axe before, so
17.
I've wielded an axe, but I've never,
I would rather you walk into the office holding an axe than wearing axe. Axe is the definition of I'm trying too hard.
I do have an axe in the office. I could go get it, but
So here's my question of the day. I am being remarkably healthy this week. Last night, I made stuffed bell peppers. I switched the ground beef out for ground turkey. I got low fat, low sodium, low everything, basically fake cheese to cover it in. They were delicious. I'm being healthy this week. But one of my favorite breweries is going out of business this week. Their last day that you can go to the tap room and drink their beer is Friday. Is it permissible to break my healthy streak this week to go have a couple of beers before one of my favorite breweries?
Last I checked, you're an adult.
Right.
You can do what you want, man.
But as somebody who has been through a weight loss journey.
No, I wouldn't have done it.
Okay.
But
well, you don't drink beer.
Yeah.
If it was your favorite restaurant.
No, I get it.
Would you have gone there and had one last binge?
Not a binge. I would have found something healthy there.
Hugh Freeze said a dumb thing, and not to be outdone in the saying dumb things category. Shortly after that, he was joined in the dumb thing contest by Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz. Eli Drinkwitz was talking about
it's Drinkowitz, by the way, I believe.
The classic German pronunciation.
Ah, okay. No, I'm just
Drinkwitz.
trying to help before someone else, gets on the text line, and it'd be hard to correct that one though.
Eli D.
There we go.
Eli Drinkwitz, Drinkowitz, whatever you want to call him.
I feel bad now. I'm just trying to help. I quit. I suck.
My mom called me yesterday after the show, and she's like, I heard Lonzo say that he should never try to correct the host again. Did you make him angry? I was like, no. Lonzo just doesn't have an off switch to the smartass mode.
Yeah, it was sarcasm.
He just lives in that world.
No. I know I shouldn't do it, and I feel bad afterwards. But I'm also, genuinely, I'm trying to help.
Yeah, no,
I am, because the text line is brutal when you mispronounce something. I'm trying to help you get ahead of it.
He's not lying. Eli Drinkwitz says college players through NIL are making too much money. Let me give you the quote from Eli Drinkwitz. He said, quote, "We're giving guys 18 to 22 years old life-changing money. People are making more money on NIL than my brother-in-law, who is a pediatrician who saves lives. And we kind of do it cavalier, and we think there's not going to be side effects or issues. There's information out there, bad actors out there, always trying to make a dollar, running around campuses, trying to gather information. It's going to become a key issue in our locker room," end quote. Okay, let's break this down piece by piece, but let's start at the back end. It's going to become a key issue in our locker room. And seems like a you problem, Eli. Then he said, there's information out there, bad actors out there always trying to make a dollar, running around campuses trying to gather information. Again, yes. Do you know when that has also happened in college football, Eli? For freaking always. It has always happened. It's just now the one aspect that you don't like has come on board, has come on the table, right? You don't like that players get. I really wish the coaches would just outright say what they mean here. Instead of trying to dance around it, and instead of trying to pretend like they're the damn Salvation Army out to save these kids, I wish they just have the rocks to come out and go, players get paid and I don't like it. Just say it. Just say what you mean. There has always been bad actors on campus. It's just that they used to come in the form of $500 handshakes. It used to come with bagmen. It used to come with guys who forked over fistfuls of Benjamins to players, but it was below board.
We had a guy in D3 named Smokey. It was like, he looked like he was 75 years old, and he had an elbow pad. He would just walk out with the elbow pad. He put his hand in the elbow pad every once in a while.
Yeah.
And pull something out to give to a star player. I was not one, but, I knew them. They were in my fraternity, and they drove really nice cars.
Yeah. They've always been there, Eli. It's just now the kids aren't in trouble for getting paid for being stellar athletes. He said we kind of do it cavalier, and we think there's not going to be side effects or issues. Eli, there are side effects and issues to every decision that gets made. Every one of them. Just because you think that the situation is bad doesn't mean that side effects and issues are a reason you don't do something. You do something, and then you deal with the side effects and the issues. And again, the big problem here was that the NCAA could have been out front of this. They could have been working on they could have been working on preventing the side effects and issues from the beginning, but they didn't do it. This is not on the kids. Stop trying to take away from the kids being able to get a cut because it comes out of either your pocket or your budget, and you don't like that, by making up boogeymen, right? You're making up boogeymen in order to stop a thing you don't like, which is not great. Now let's get to my favorite part of this quote. Eli Drinkwitz said, quote, "We're giving guys 18 to 22 years old life-changing money. People are making more money on NIL than my brother-in-law, who is a pediatrician who saves lives." Eli, quick question for you. How much money you making, my guy? You coach football. That's what you do. You coach a child's game. That's what you do. Now, I love the child's game. I can't wait till 93 days from now when we're all sitting down to watch the child's game. Actually, it's more like 86 days because we got week 0 again this year. But whatever. In just a tick over 11 weeks from now, we're all going to be sitting down to watch college football, and I'm very excited about it. But see, here's the thing. You make all that money despite the fact that you are 6-7, 6-7, and 5-5 in your last 3 seasons. You make all that money because despite your very average performance as a head coach at Mizzou, you're still bringing 80,000 people into a building to watch a thing that you can do because it's a limited resource. I got news for you. There's only a certain number of high school players in America who are capable of making it onto an SEC team and playing for that SEC team. And it is something that we all enjoy. It is. So we all pack into those stadiums on Saturdays, and we all sit on the couches with our glasses of bourbon on Saturdays and watch you play from the other side of the country. That generates a lot of interest, which generates a lot of revenue, which you should be happy for. Because I got to guess here, and it might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm going to go ahead and guess, Eli, that you make more money than your brother-in-law who is a pediatrician and saves lives. Is that fair? Is it fair that you racking up those sub-500 seasons year after year after year, despite the continued reinvestment of Missouri into you and your program, is it fair that you coach a child's game, you coach it very, very average, and you are making more than your brother-in-law who's a pediatrician and saves lives? Or is it only unfair that the people you don't want paid because it makes your job harder are making more than your brother-in-law? Now, I'm also going to go off on a limb here, and it is speculation, but I don't think it's wild speculation. I'm going to go ahead and make a guess here that the overwhelming majority of players who are making any NIL money at all, the overwhelming majority of players who are making any NIL money at all are not making anywhere near what your alleged doctor brother-in-law is making. There are probably a handful, tops, across the entire conference of SEC players who are making in the same atmosphere. But I'm going to guess that's like 1, 2, maybe 3% of SEC players. The overwhelming number of college kids who are getting any NIL money at all are not making what your pediatrician brother makes. But here's the fun thing. College football coaches have been making millions of dollars for a number of years now.
By the way, I just looked this up because I was curious about what pediatricians' average salary in the Greenville area. According to ZipRecruiter, it's $120,000 to $220,000 a year. Glassdoor has $110,000 to $360,000, and Salary.com has $160,000 to $280,000. So between the three, low ball would be $110,000, high would be $360,000.
Let's say 110. Let's take the lowest on that sliding scale. I would be willing to bet $1.
That's pretty good money. I got to say, to be a pediatrician,
Again,
might be too late to change.
and it's a wonderful career. if there are any pediatricians out there,
Can you
good on
imagine?
you.
Can you imagine Rob the pediatrician? Oh,
I'm great with kids. Kids love Uncle Rob.
Okay, all right.
Kids love Uncle Rob.
Yeah. What if they're not related?
Kids love Uncle
Okay.
Rob.
Well, we know your distaste for children. So,
No.
I mean, you know.
Don't you? I'm not doing this crap with you. Not today. I'm fired up. Eli Drinkovitz got me fired up. All right? Not today. I love kids. Kids love me. They're awesome. I just like more the part where I go, all right, go back to your mom now. I've had enough. Uncle Rob wants a beer and to be left alone. Bye.
You'd never say that to your nephew, though.
No, I wouldn't, because he's the coolest.
There you go.
Your kids suck compared to my nephew.
Yeah, you taught him how to headbang. You know, I saw the.
Except your kid who makes fart jokes on the radio. I
Yeah,
love him.
let's not go. He's an adult though, so he's no longer a child.
Still one of my favorite kids.
He bothers me sometimes.
He called it, what do you call it? Airbending? Amazing. Amazing joke. Amazing joke, Cam. Keep it up. Great work on the Upstate Pulse Saturdays from 7 to 9 on 106.3 WORD.
Stick with your day job, kid.
You're just mad he got you in that moment.
No, literally stick with your day job. This is, I mean.
Yeah, radio doesn't pay that well.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Eli. Do I think that teachers and firefighters and police officers and military members and pediatricians and nurses and ambulance drivers and all these people who do things that actually contribute to society should be paid more? Yes. Yes, I do. I absolutely do. Teachers, especially, should be paid more. But that's not how the system that we live under works. Scarcity gets you paid. And here's my question, Eli. How many guys on your roster at Mizzou could cut it at Alabama? A couple, handful, right? SEC caliber players, specifically top tier SEC caliber players, are rare. There aren't that many of them. That's why the few that you were talking about are getting as much money as they are. Now, I'm actually going to say one thing in favor of Eli Drinkwitz here. I am sure that part of his problem, and this is going to lead us to the next segment where we're going to hear from Nick Saban. I am sure that part of the problem for a guy like Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou is based on the fact that there's bigger money at schools like Alabama and LSU and Georgia. So now, not only does he have to fight to get the scarce number of top-tier SEC players that are available, not only does he have to fight to get the scarce number of top-flight SEC players that are available when places like Alabama and LSU have locker rooms that look like they're out of Willy Wonka if he did college football instead of candy. But now you've got to get the top flight of college football players, as rare as they are, away from the Alabamas and the LSUs who have ridiculous locker rooms and resources, and boosters who can fork over millions of dollars to NIL collectives. I get that. And that is justifiably frustrating. But that's a problem you need to take up and get the NCAA to fix, not take out on the players themselves. Yes, these kids are making money now. No, the overwhelming majority are not making what your pediatrician brother-in-law who saves lives are making. A very limited few of them are making that. You're not upset with the kids getting paid. You're upset with the fact that your job got harder because Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida, they have now added one more tool to the tool chest that makes beating you easier. And I get it. I really do. It is frustrating, not that we have this issue here, but it is frustrating, for instance, in jobs I've been at in the past, when I've been trying to grow a radio show, but I've been watching the station across town dump money into their sports station, and it's like I could be the best show host in the world, but they've got resources to do things that I can't do, and it makes my job almost impossible. I get that aspect of it, Eli. I genuinely do. But the way to correct that is not to try to hammer on the kids. They just got to the table. They just got a slice of the pie. You should be asking more of your boosters, and you should be asking the people in charge of the whole system to put in some guardrails so that you don't continue to get your ass kicked like you've been getting paid $7 million a year to do the last 3 years at Mizzou. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to Nick Saban, who we will hear from in the next segment, because Nick had a few things to say. They're pretty interesting too. And then when we're done with this hour, we're going to get away from all of this. You're welcome. My name is Rob Brown. The great one Lonzo's on the other side of the glass, and you, ladies and gentlemen, are listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Chris is here, everybody. He's right.
So I'm going to ask you the thing that I ask my wife all the time. What did you think it was going to be? It can only be a person coming through there. If it's an animal, I'm probably going to jump too. But I mean, if it's a sniper rifle, you're going to see me go underneath. But so you just ruined the whole day, Chris. Because no, you have no idea. He was on a roll. Now the roll is over because you scared him when you walked in.
Be right back, guys. Stay right there. Damn it, I wish I'd had this back on the stream for that. I just dropped the that's what she said of the day. But it's early. I got plenty of time to top that.
I can set you up if you need it. I mean, you know. GAF? GAF? I don't know if that's a, well, maybe. We're all good now. We're in a place of zen. Rob went and breathed in a mood candle.
Question for the audio engineer. Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait.
Bits and pieces, Luke. They lost 4-2 as Wake got a 90th minute goal to ice the thing. There were spurts that the Liberty looked incredible, and then there were spurts that they looked absolutely panicked. The Rob Brown Show continues. It is the fan upstate. I'd like to thank Captain America Chris Evans down the hall for nearly making me crap my pants there before we went to break. I
just opened up the door, man. That's all he did. He just opened up the door. I mean, you know, but okay.
Say what you want.
We're in a safe space.
I
mean, as safe as we can be. I mean, it's unless someone's coming in with a full-on arsenal, we're pretty good. So, I mean, you know, unless someone decides to go postal in the building, we're in a good place. I'm just saying. And I would have warned you if it was danger.
I don't understand people who like to be jump scared. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I've never understood it. I'll never understand
Do
it.
you go to amusement parks?
Yes.
It's the same sort of scare.
No.
Being on a roller coaster is just as bad as being jump scared.
I know what's coming on a roller coaster, and I'm not scared by it. I'm excited by it.
Do you ever ride a backwards roller coaster?
Yes. But
You don't know what's coming on a backward roller
it's
coaster.
Not, okay. Listen. Things jumping out at you is dumb and bad. All right? It's dumb and bad. All right.
All right. This is a one-time offer. I'll come around and give you a hug if you need it. I mean, you know, and I got deacon hugs. I mean, they're really good hugs. You know, no one hugs like a deacon.
Deacon hugs.
Yes.
All right. We get to these comments from one Nicholas Saban. Nick Saban, I think, is kind of the face of college football right now, right? Most successful coach in the game. Guy's a first ballot, not even a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just might as well go ahead and put him in now. Nick Saban is down in Destin, Florida as well for the SEC meetings, in which Nick Saban said that college football is not a business. He said, quote, "We reinvest every cent that gets made into non-revenue sports, to scholarships, to a lot of things that create a lot of opportunities for a lot of people," which is really, really good. We're not talking about the same thing. It's really not a business. It's revenue producing, but nobody takes a profit. All the money gets reinvested in other opportunities for other people, whether it's facilities, whether it's scholarships, whether it's opportunities for people to play. If we continue down this road, are we going to be able to continue to have those opportunities? I think those are all good questions somebody probably ought to answer. Now, it's the middle part of that statement that got a little chuckle out of RLB. He said, quote, "Nobody takes a profit. All the money gets reinvested in other opportunities for other people, whether it's facilities, whether it's scholarships, whether it's opportunities for people to play." And in real life, that would be splendid, fantastic. Except for Nick Saban at the end of last season, got a contract expansion. He got an 8-year contract worth $93.6 million with an average salary over the length of the contract of $11.7 million. He made $10.7 million last year. By the end of the contract, he'll be making just a touch shy of $13 million per year. I don't think that I'm going to need to sprain my shoulder pointing out the hilarious, I don't know if I want to go with irony or hypocrisy of one Nick Saban saying, no. There's no profit here. We reinvest every cent. Anyway, where's my $11.7 million check for a single year of work?
They are investing in the institution. The institution is Nick Saban.
Yeah, correct.
And if you would like the institution to continue, then you need to continue investing in the institution.
Right. But see, Nick Saban is not a scholarship. Nick Saban is not a non-revenue generating sport. Nick Saban is, I mean, I guess you could say that he's an opportunity if you wanted to. But Nick Saban is none of the things that Nick Saban just listed as what college football really does. Nick Saban's a football coach, a damn good one, but a football coach. Nick Saban is a guy that whenever he decides to call it a career, and the contract extension he shot, and this doesn't mean he's going to play it all the way through, but the contract extension that Nick Saban signed has him being paid north of $10 million per year through 2029. And remember, that's an extension. When Nick Saban is done coaching college football, when Nick Saban decides to hang up the whistle, Nick Saban will have been paid north of $250 million to coach football. Now, I am going to give Nick Saban a little bit of credit here because at least Nick Saban had the common sense to come out and say, I don't really mind if the players get paid, but it needs to be uniform across the board, right? He pointed out that the NFL loves parity. He said, what's the best thing the NFL could have going for it? Every team being at 8-8 headed into the last week of the year, right? And he's not wrong. He said the NFL has constructed a model that they negotiated with the players that allows them to set a cap. Here's how much every team can pay. And he said the NCAA should do something similar. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that, provided the players are allowed to come to the table with attorneys and negotiate that like the players in the NFL do, right? When the NFL sets these numbers, they do it alongside the NFL Players Association. They're at the table. So if they want to go that direction, I've got no problem with that. But, Nick, I will take umbrage with one thing you said. If you want equality across the board, I'm good with that. But you better delete every picture of Alabama's locker room off the website. Because do you think Furman football is going to be able to keep up with the locker room you've put together at Alabama, which does what? Attracts the top-tier talent? No. College football is not equal. It's never been equal. There's one guy who shouldn't be complaining about this. It's old Uncle Nick. You're benefiting more than anybody else. Hour number 2 starts next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives.
If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee.
I'm sure he gets just free Aflac for doing the Aflac commercials, Kevin. I'm sure he
And
doesn't get
nothing
paid.
else.
No, not at all.
Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors.
I like the Coach K and Don Staley commercials better for Aflac anyway.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the
All right,
same
delete.
life-changing treatments as retired Braves pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed, and the pain.
Daggum arthritis.
When I was trying to play sports, it was anytime I was moving the right elbow, it was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and the regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics:
My elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772.
Want to quickly become dad's favorite? Give him what he really wants for Father's Day. The Upstate Golf Cart. 18 holes at 9 of the best courses in the Upstate. The Preserve at Verde, the Club at Brookstone, Carolina Springs, The Rock, Greer Golf, Rolling Green, just to name a few. And best of all, now through Father's Day, the Upstate Golf Cart is on sale. 1 for $75 and 2 for $125. Get your dad one today at upstategolfcart.com. That's upstategolfcart.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. May is National Bike Month, so use your bike instead of your car or for a little bit of exercise. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to
I
convenience.
don't think it's raining here, Steven.
More confident shipping with new informed.
It is light and I can't see it.
New electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/movingforward.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
There is a 5-star QB out of Columbus, Georgia that we would really like to have here. And we are working our butts off to recruit that kid. He's got NIL offers from other schools in the neighborhood of $800,000 a year. I reference that for no specific or detailed reason at all. All I'm saying to you, the valued members of the XYZU Booster Club and Collective, is that we really hope that kid ends up here. Anyway, have a great day. Remember, I did not give you any directives at all today.
Of course you can't.
Thanks for coming.
While said university head Rob Brown is talking, he's got both hands up and fists forward down.
No, I can
He's shaking them back and forth like a Polaroid picture.
I can. Coming up next on the show, Lonzo does Outcast.
Hey, young, it's time for a break.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Same great show, new time.
The Rob Brown Show.
Now 19 a.m. only on the Fan. Upstate.
When it comes to the best sports content, listen to the Fan Upstate on Odyssey, no matter where you are, in the car, at home, at work. Download the free Odyssey app on your phone. Search the Fan Upstate and you're in the game. Hey, now we roll. The Fan Upstate. The Fan.
Upstate.
WYRD
WORD Spotlight.
WIBCH2 the official sports voice
Gables in the first break. I don't know, Trey. I think he's hurt, but they didn't even mention him this week.
Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, hashtag Dad Kicks, Colonel Grudge, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate, the Sultan of Swag, the Content Cash Cow, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave. They call him the Great One. Lonzo's here as well. If you want to be a part of the show, if you've got any thoughts on the conversation that we had back in the last hour, now is your time to get them in. You can give us a buzz on the Gilstrap Family Dealerships.com. I can't do it right now. .com phone line at 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. You can also shoot us a text at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. Texter said, the Fan, when I was at Clemson, Oglesby and about 3 other basketball players all had white Cadillac trucks.
Escalades?
I would guess. So I don't think Caddy makes a pickup truck, right? They make SUVs. The Escalade being the predominant one. They do have a few new ones out, I should say. But yeah, again, the only difference between now and then is that the best players are still making a bunch of money. It's just above board. And now everybody else has got a chance to do the same.
Which would you rather have, an Escalade or a Hummer?
Oh, Escalade.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hummer's more manly.
Nah.
You don't think so?
I think they've done their best to paint it that way. Now, if you're talking like a military-grade Humvee, that would kick ass.
All right, you've seen where I live. A Hummer would probably be better for me.
Yeah, no, a Humvee.
Yeah.
Not like the H2 that dudes are driving around. That's just a bigger, regular SUV. Now, Lonzo roll it up to the compound in a Humvee, like military grade. I get that. But no, give me, again, classic 1%er. Give me luxury. Give me comfort. Give me style.
Well, I haven't been in either one of those, so I don't know if one's more luxurious than the other. You got to believe that Cadillac probably is, but, you know.
I have been in both.
Of course you have.
Well, in fairness, the Humvee, because my life's awesome, a number of years ago, back in 2011, 10, 11, somewhere in that ballpark, I was honored to be named an honorary commander of the 96th Communications Squadron on Eglin Air Force Base in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. So for a year, I was honorary commander of a communications squadron that trained and sent airmen over to active war zones, and their entire job was to make sure that communication stayed open from the front lines to the command, from the command post to HQs, and from HQs back to the Pentagon. But one of the perks of that was that I got to go out and do cool stuff with all of the military units at Eglin. So, for instance, I got to spend a day with military MPs, and they had a building where they would train, and I got to, for a day, basically learn how to clear buildings in live fire hostage situations, which included going in with an MP5 with paint bullets loaded into it and clearing room to room with wooden terrorists and hostages in it.
All right, I'm not making light of the situation when I ask this question because I think it's a legitimate question. Did that training help you play Call of Duty better?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, not making light of it, but it's those kind of situations in that game. So.
Yep. Sure did, which is the dumbest thing, but absolutely it did. Got to go hang out with the police canines one day. Got to get run down and bit on by a canine.
I don't know if I want that.
It's incredible.
Incredible as in scary?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They're meat missiles, dude. They don't play. Love that. Got to go get an in-person tour of the F-15s and 16s that they train pilots to fly out there. I was that close to getting to go up.
Except you're too tall, right?
That is exactly correct. I was going to go to the United States Air Force Academy, had it all lined up, and then they said, you're too tall to fly. We're going to stick you in like a C-130 as like a engineer. And I was like, nah. That's not cool, man. I want to wear aviators, but like legitimately, you know?
Country issued aviators. Yeah, I get it.
That's fact. All right. Let's get to some stuff. Steven said, if that made you better at COD, how bad were you to begin with? Oh, tragic. Let me put it this way. The dudes who invite me to run Call of Duty with them, Steven, they do it because I'm hilarious, not because I'm good.
Or he's a meat shield.
Yeah. There's like, effectively, I have two roles. Number one, tell the fart jokes that make everybody laugh. And number two, Rob, go in that house and see if there's anybody in there. Go in that house and see if there's anybody in there. Clear it out. Not clear it out in terms of take them out, but go in there, run around a bunch, and then go, back left corner, he got me. So we know where to throw the flashbang. That's the goal. No, I suck, but I am hilarious. That's what keeps me coming back. Let's get some more stories in here real quick, ladies and gentlemen. And let us start with this one. ESPN put out a bunch of rankings this week. They put out their SP Plus rankings. They put out their preseason offensive efficiency rankings. They put out their ACC and SEC conference rankings. And over the course of the week, we're going to run through them. We're going to pick them apart. We're going to see what we like, what we don't, what we agree with, and what we don't. But I wanted to start with this one. I told Lonzo at the conclusion of last season that I think the Atlantic Coast Conference is going to be under threat this year. Or at least, shall I say, the repeated and often ACC champs are going to be under threat this year. I think Clemson is going to have to go win this conference this year. They're going to have to win games to do it. This is not going to be a conference that is going to roll over as it has in years past to the Clemson Tigers. And now the ESPN rankings seem to follow that model, seem to believe that that is the case. ESPN put out their preseason ACC rankings. And they, Lonzo, have Florida State University listed as the favorite to win the ACC this year. Now, it's not by a lot. It's not by a wide margin. They did a bunch of statistics gathering. They ran a bunch of simulations, and they give Florida State just the briefest of edges by which they win the Atlantic Coast Conference. But that's not what is most interesting to me. What's most interesting to me, Zoe, was how that lines up with Adam Rittenberg and ESPN's preseason offensive power rankings. This is just taking into consideration what they believe the offensive efficiency of college football's best teams are going to look like. They assessed what the quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers and offensive lines did last year, who came back, who is gone, different coordinators, different head coaches, yada, 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 yada. And they put together what they believe is the offensive power rankings going into the year. Now, I will acknowledge that, like most rankings, these are by and large irrelevant until the season begins. We don't really know how these offenses are going to stack up till they start stacking up, till we play football. But that's not what intrigued me here. I'm not a big rank 'em guy when we don't have a product to be ranked, right? All we have is our thoughts. It is not so much that the rankings are out, it's how they're shaped up. And dig this. ESPN predicts that the number one offense, and this is predominantly Power 5 teams, big-time teams, right? They're not factoring in the Coastal Carolinas here. ESPN projects that the number one offense this year will be Lincoln Riley's USC Trojans. And why not, right? Caleb Williams is your Heisman Trophy favorite going in. They have got Jordan Addison gone at wide receiver, but they brought in Dorian Singer, a first-team All-Pac-12 performer in 2022 with Arizona. He transferred in. Taj Washington, Brendan Rice, Mario Williams, and others made up a really good wide receiver class last year. They also recruited very strong. No problem with USC being there. I think it might be a little bit of a reach, but not a great one. Number 2 offense this year, according to ESPN, they're predicting the Ohio State Buckeyes at number 2. Another one. I get you lose CJ Stroud, number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft, but you've got Kyle McCord, who is already a Heisman favorite, has not taken a snap yet. Already a Heisman favorite.
I know we've said this before, but Ohio State has a pretty good history of the next quarterback being really good.
And they believe that it's going to be the case again. At number 3, they've got Georgia, another team looking to replace a quarterback, but the recruits have been stellar coming into UGA. Question mark about junior Carson Beck and sophomore Brock Vandegrift, who are competing to replace Ben Four. We'll find out who the guy is. But they've got a lot of power, and starts with Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is a guy who might be a top 5 draft pick as a tight end. He's a stud, dude. Look out for the Dogs. They got Alabama at number 4. They got Michigan at number 5. They've got Tennessee at number 6. Oklahoma at number 7. Washington at number 8. Texas at number 9. Florida State at number 10. LSU 11. Penn State 12. Oregon 13. UCLA 14. Utah 15. Wake Forest at 16. That's without Sam Hartman. They got Notre Dame at 17, Ole Miss at 18, BYU at 19, at 20, Drake May and his heels, at 21, Texas Tech, at 22, TCU. They've got Western Kentucky at number 23. They've got Louisville at 24, and they've got SMU at 25. Hey, quick question, Lonzo. Who didn't I mention?
That would be the team that supposedly got better the last couple games of the year when they switched quarterbacks and put in that Bouquet. So Clemson is not in there.
ESPN.
Wow.
Says that today. Well, again, we're what? 12 weeks out.
These are just semi-educated guesses, but as of now, Clemson is not considered in that group.
I would say educated guesses is fine, right? We know what they did last year. We know who's coming back. We know what freshmen are going to be leaned on for different teams. We know what coaches historically have done. Educated guess is fine. I am stunned. Western Kentucky?
Hilltoppers, man.
SMU?
The Hilltoppers, Western Kentucky. Don't sleep on them.
Listen, Lonzo, I know who the mascot is. I don't know who the quarterback is.
I got lost there once, so it will always be in my heart. The Hilltoppers. It's actually on a hill too, which was kind of cool.
I don't get it. I'm not going to argue by any stretch that this is some sort of great crime committed, but Clemson not in the top 25.
So I know I joke about the decline of Clemson, and I do believe they've declined a little bit, not nearly as much as this though. This is very shocking. So what do they not have confidence in? Is it the quarterback? Is it the defense? Is it the team overall? Have they lost confidence in Dabo? I just you're right. When you start throwing in, that's disrespectful if you're a Clemson fan. If you hear the Hilltoppers in there, you hear SMU, you hear teams like that, you're like, what about us? Look at what we've done these past few years, and especially how happy the fans were when they got Cade in there and they thought that was a difference. I think the question is, if DJ was still the quarterback, would they be on those lists?
So Zoe, how I feel when I hear people throw around disrespect.
Yeah, there's only one team that matters to, but that's the NFL, and we're talking college.
I very frequently, when I hear specifically a fan say,
no, I'm not, Kevin. I'm spitting out facts. I know South Carolina won 31-30, but we're not talking about South Carolina right now.
Ordinarily, when I hear a fan throw out the D word, disrespect, more often than not, I'm like, I can't have a conversation with you, right? Can't have a conversation with you. Because I think more often than not, it's not so much disrespect as it is, I just don't like this opinion. We've created this environment where not liking your opinion is disrespectful. No, it's just disagreement.
And that's the thing. These polls are their opinions. I mean, until we actually get, how many times has these things been completely wrong and a team just comes out and dominates? Usually the top 3 or 4, they're pretty close, but every once in a while they miss on that.
I wouldn't disagree with you. But here's the thing. That statement would hold weight to me, Zoe, if ESPN had ranked them at like 22, right? Or 17, 18, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, because at least then they're on the list.
Right. If you would have ranked them with Shipley coming back, who I think might be the best running back in college football this year. I mean, are there question marks about Cade Klubnik? Obviously there are, but we've also seen him put the ball in some tight windows. If they had them ranked down around 22, 20, I'd be like, all right, it's speculation. It's a guess.
But is this even worse because of the teams that we just mentioned? I mean, the Hilltoppers and SMU and teams like that being above Clemson.
That is why I have some fat question marks, right? It is not just that Clemson is not ranked in the top 25 offenses in college football. It is they're not ranked in the top 25 offenses in college football while Florida State is inside the top 10. That concerns me a little.
But you can make up for that if they were ranked in the top 25 in defenses.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's out yet or not. And in the past, you could almost always believe it that defense was going to be there. But the defense hasn't been as good. Still good enough to win the majority of their games and compete for the ACC. But
just since you asked, and I did plan on getting to this, but I will accelerate the process. The same group put out their projected power rankings for college football's best defenses. Clemson checked in at number 2 on that list.
All right. So see, I think that helps, doesn't it? Because then your offense doesn't have to be as good if your defense is that good. It's real easy to outscore the other opponent your opponent if they're not scoring at all.
You're not wrong. But in football, like in most sports, a good offense beats good defense. The playing field is shifted. It's tilted towards the offense. So I don't find it like the word disrespect is not one that's in the lexicon for Rob Brown in sports very often, because as you pointed out, their opinions, and if you don't like it, just dismiss it. And it's not just the fact that Clemson is ranked outside of the top 25 in projected offensive efficiency by ESPN. It's that they're ranked outside the projected offensive efficiency of the top 25, and I don't hear anybody talking about it. I don't hear anybody popping off about it. I don't hear anybody calling for the head of the committee that put these numbers together because of how atrocious it is. Now, again, very kind to Clemson defensively. So it's clearly not an anti-Clemson bias, as some people are going to claim that it is. And the only team that ranks above Clemson on their defensive power rankings is Georgia. Yes, Georgia's phenomenal, and they're going to be ridiculous this year. Even with all the reloads across the defensive line, they're going to be very good. I am not surprised that ESPN considers FSU to be the favorites to win the ACC if the same entity, the same organization, believes that Florida State has a top 10 offense and Clemson does not have a top 25 offense, even if they believe Clemson has a number 2 defense in college football. And again, here's hoping, right? Wes Goodwin is back. Wes Goodwin is back. He's got a year under the belt now. He's got some experience. That's not new anymore. They lose Miles Murphy and Brian Bresee, a couple of guys that go into the first round. They lose KJ Henry. They lose Trenton Simpson. But they also had a lot of guys who stayed back. Tyler Davis, Xavier Thomas. These are all cats that came back. Tyler Davis is a 3-time All-ACC selection, earned All-American honors in 2022. Thomas earned 3rd-team All-ACC honors. Senior end Justin Maskell is another veteran presence here. They have brought a lot back. So if you put them together, by the way, on the defensive rankings, ESPN has Florida State checking in at number 18. So FSU, according to ESPN, has the number 10 offense and the number 18 defense. Clemson has the number 2 defense and an unranked offense. Don't even deserve to be mentioned. I don't love it. You're not going to convince me that Western Kentucky's offense is going to be more prolific than Clemson's. You're not going to convince me SMU's offense is going to be more prolific than Clemson's. Do I think that Clemson is going to be a juggernaut offensively? No. I think they're going to be in some tight games where points are at a premium. I think they are going to absolutely have to ask their defense to bail them out of a couple of spots. Perhaps one of what I suspect will be 2 meetings against the Noles, one in the regular season, one in the ACC championship game. And I think there's room for 1 loss to get into the playoffs. So work to do. But this is an unranked offense, right? And again, I know a lot of folks are going to run to, well, ESPN's always had an anti-Clemson bias, but the same committee puts you at number 2 defensively, right? So I don't think that argument holds water. I'm intrigued about y'all's thoughts on this. Do you worry about Clemson's offense this year? Do you worry about the ability to produce on the offensive side of the football? I would be lying to tell you that I have no concerns. I think there's some strong points. I think Will Shipley, as I mentioned, might be the best running back in football this year. Certainly the most consistent. But this clearly shows that I'm not the only one that has concerns and that there are genuine concerns about the ability for the Tigers to score points this year. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in a minute. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
Gables.
All right, guys, got a live read right here. Stay right here. We will be right back.
Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot.
After these messages, we'll be right back. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't know if I'm proud of that or not.
ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Growing a business brings pressure. It's not easy to maintain momentum.
I'm trying to decide if I want to go eat on a boat because they have like some dinner boats we've never tried.
Charleston?
No,
Myrtle Beach.
Garden City.
Okay.
But it's just like somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But I'm a little worried about the granddaughter. As my wife said, we'll go back sometime, just me and you, and we'll do some of that stuff. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Because if someone is disruptive, she's usually well behaved, but if she's disruptive, you can't really go anywhere. You're on a boat.
Yep.
I mean, so I've been on speedboats, but I think I've been on like one big paddle boat thing. I've never been on a boat like that. I don't know if I get seasick or not. Wow. Fun. Just looking at the video you just posted. Doesn't that look like fun? Were you singing the song when you were watching it? I can't listen to the sounds. I don't know.
So there is video footage of what has to be a dude, Lonzo, going for it. And by it, I mean a thought that every one of us at some point in our lives have had. I was, growing up, a huge fan of the Dukes of Hazzard. And who amongst us wasn't? It was a phenomenal television show. Ironically, hilariously progressive for its time. It was a phenomenal show. But
and I'm guessing Boss Hogg lives around here somewhere. It just would fit.
Ain't no doubt.
Yeah.
Ain't no doubt.
Somewhere in Pickens County, Paul.
Hazard County was an amalgamation of all of the rural counties between Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi.
And it just reminded me of a bunch of my family who lives in Kentucky and does some really stupid stuff. Yeah.
And of course, while there were some great life lessons to be taken from the Dukes of Hazzard, we all watched the Dukes of Hazzard because watching Bo and Luke jump the General Lee off of various ramp-shaped objects every week was awesome. It was incredible. Well,
the original Fast and Furious.
That's exactly right. Flyingly. And of course, at least once a season, Bo and Luke would be running from the 5-0 in the General Lee, and they would see a tow truck parked on the side of the road with the ramp up.
Cooter.
Cousin Cooter. And every week, Bo and Luke would perfectly hit that ramp, would sky off the end of it. On the other end would come down, 4 wheels on the floor, hit the accelerator, and off they'd go. Leaving the cops in the dust. Happened every week.
I mean, how hard would it be to get away from Enos, though? I mean, it's Enos.
Yeah. It weren't exactly the most...
Steven says people were just watching for Daisy.
I mean, yeah, I'm not mad at that. Catherine Bach was a smoke show.
What were Daisy Dukes called before Dukes of Hazzard? They just cut off jeans or something?
I guess.
No. I mean, I was around before Dukes of Hazzard. I don't remember what they were called before that. But if someone said Daisy Dukes, you knew right away what they were.
It was never difficult for the Dukes to get away from Roscoe P. Coltrane. Yeah. But I think at least once in all of our adult lives have we been driving down the road, seen a hauler with the ramp down, and for just a second thought, I kind of want to go for it, right? Like I kind of want, if Bo and Luke could do it every week in their 71 Dodge Charger painted rust orange, I am positively sure that my Jeep Wrangler could pull it off.
Admittedly, I've been behind some of those haulers and thought, if that thing falls down and it's scraping on the ground, could I actually
drive up on it?
Could I make it up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We've all had that thought, courtesy of Bo and Luke. Well, there's a video making the rounds. I just posted it on my Twitter account. Video making the rounds of one of those haulers on the side of the road with its ramp down, and somebody let the internal voices win. Or they were texting and driving.
They just didn't see it. Yeah.
The
results were not good.
They were either texting and driving, or they let the inside voice control the outside action, because they hit this hauler and they were hauling ass when they did it. The car goes up. Zoe, unfair to say they were 15-ish feet up in the air?
Yeah, they were up there a good piece.
15-ish feet up in the air, except for, unlike Bo and Luke coming down with all rubber on the ground, this car came down the other way. Just straight down on the roof, man. Just straight down on the roof. Proving that while all of us have thought it, that while all of us have wanted to try it, that all of us at one point have seen something, a dirt pile, a hauler with a ramp down, whatever. We have all seen something generally ramp shaped and thought, just the good old boys, never meaning no harm, beats all you never saw, and just, let's just floor it. Let's just floor it. Pedal to the metal and let's.
I got to believe that last week you would have been able to do that a little bit better.
A little bit better.
Yeah, your voice is improving, but it's not quite there yet.
All of us heard Merle in our head going, the Duke boys better learn to fly real quick. Start flapping their arms real hard. And just YOLO it off the end of the ramp. Don't. Because as this guy showed in front of 5 Georgia State troopers, you're probably not winning the battle with, physics. But I got to commend the guy for going for it, right? He lived the dream that all of us have had at some point.
So I didn't see if it showed. Did he actually live?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
He does not go that far.
Because there's a good shot, the way that thing flew through the air, that maybe he had some complications.
Shockingly, as the body cam footage of the highway patrolman from the great state of Georgia was running through the debris field that used to be that vehicle, that body cam footage stops about 20 feet away from the car. So I'm suspecting old boy was not in great shape after he tried to do his best impression of the General Lee. Anyway, let me get Rick in here real quick before we go to the break. Wants to talk a little Bravos baseball as the Braves have now dropped not 1, but 2 to the Oakland A's, the worst team in baseball, handed them their only series win of the year and their only set of back-to-back wins on the air. Not a great look, Rick. Welcome to the show, big dog.
Yeah, I love your show. I'm a big Braves fan, and I know you like the Braves too. They've lost 5 of 6 series. They're losing to the Phillies. They're losing to the A's. They're losing to everybody they shouldn't lose to. Should I worry, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah, you should, for a couple of reasons. bats going cold for this team is going to happen. It's going to happen to every team. But the bats going cold against the worst team in baseball can't happen. You have to be able to gut out wins against those teams. Now, I have pointed out that up until this series, Rick, the Braves have beat every team that was not ranked first or second in their respective divisions, right? And on top of that, they went to Texas and took 2 out of 3 against the Rangers, who have the best offense in baseball. So the good news is the Braves are getting wins against the Dodgers, against the Rangers, against the decent Mariners team. They are still in first in the NL East. Granted, the NL East is a dumpster fire as opposed to the pearl we thought it was going to be, but they are still in first in the division, and they got a lot of guys banged up that are just kind of getting their groove back. All of that being said, Rick, no, I do not trust a team that is now on the verge of being swept by the worst Major League Baseball team in probably 25 years.
Okay, like I say, I trust you and Alonzo's, what you say. And I guess I'll start. I'm a big Braves fan. I watch it every night. I just won't watch it as much. I don't want to see them get swept by the A's tonight. So I won't watch the game. I'll just turn a deaf ear.
It's going to be an interesting one tonight. I appreciate it, Rick. Good to talk to you. Braves have got to win this game tonight, right? The bats are going cold. Like I said, every team's going to hit a cold streak. Happens to everybody. Fortunately, last year for the Bravos, the Mets, who were up, 13 and a half games after the All-Star break. The Mets hit a cold streak that lasted a long time. A long time. It happens. The question is, how do you respond? The Braves losing the first game in Oakland. Okay, Oakland had won 10 games at that point. And they had a couple of wins over some good teams. I think they beat Shohei and the Angels at one point with Shohei Ohtani on the hill. That's a Cy Young candidate. I think they had one over the Dodgers. Losing to a bad team is not the end of the world. Losing to a bad team twice means I can't trust you at this point. If the Braves go out and get swept by the Oakland A's, my confidence level in their winning this division drops from about an 85% to about a 30%. We'll see. Braves get a chance to redeem a little bit. They've already lost the series to Oakland, but they've got to get back on the right path today. It is not an option. It's just not. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Appreciate that phone call, Rick. We got the Rob Brown Show rolling on after this. It is the Fan Upstate.
In-depth sports analysis and discussion every weekday at 6 on the DA Show. Only on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate. College baseball regional action gets underway this Friday. Now 4.5 games better than the Marlins and the Mets. Atlanta will look to avoid an embarrassing sweep this afternoon. Lefty Jared Schuster, the scheduled starter, first pitch from Oakland, 3:37 Eastern. The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladin sports all year long. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Hello, I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. Getrefunds.com. Getrefunds.com.
We know you admire the majestic beard. What better way to celebrate than a cold, refreshing Rise Guys P1 lager with magical beard vibes? It's a symphony of beard delicious flavors.
Share it with your bearded buddies, embrace your bearded friends, and taste the beard awesomeness within us all.
Handcrafted in South Carolina by Steel Hands Brewing.
Rise Guys P1 Lager, the best beer on the planet. Made by guys with beards, for guys with beards, anyone without beards, and all who appreciate glorious beer.
Now in cans at select speed stores. Ask for it by name at your favorite pub or restaurant. Drink responsibly.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs, ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats so every fan can enjoy every game. And Allie, who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Granger, you're our MVPs, and we're always here for you, with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Wendy's $3 breakfast deal is a bacon or sausage egg croissant plus small seasoned potatoes for $3. It's the breakfast that don't miss. So if you did miss Wendy's breakfast, don't imagine fresh cracked eggs, sizzling sausage, crispy bacon, and block out those hot, buttery, flaky croissants. Croissants don't really make a sound, but if they did, for a breakfast that don't miss, Wendy's is that breakfast. Choose Wendy's $3 breakfast deal.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Weston Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. That's 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929. The summer savings at the Home Depot.
What, in the Diet Dr. Pepper? If I made a noise afterwards, it's because my leg hurts, but
I worked with
thank
a
you for
guy
noticing.
very briefly once who would absolutely dump half a Diet Coke and then pour vodka in it. That's what he would do.
Yeah, I'm not so sure there's some people down the hall that don't do that, but you know.
As a mostly responsible imbiber, even I don't have those rocks.
Yeah, I don't see how that would mask the smell. I'm sure it would still be on the breath of whoever was drinking it, wouldn't it? Just saying.
I mean, yes. Down. Welcome back. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful to have you along for the ride. If you want to be a part of the show, 844-326-3663. That is the number for the GilstrapFamilyDealerships.com phone line. You can also text us at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. Dan, the good old boy, man, says Dukes hasn't went through like 300 generalees over the course of the show's filming. I would be surprised if it wasn't higher, to be honest with you. I'd also imagine that the highest paid person on set outside of Bo and Luke themselves was probably the mechanics on site, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. You can count that as a half.
1.5.
Yeah, my finger was a little too slow getting over there before my voice started. Yeah, for sure. If you look up, you can look it up and see all the wrecked ones and things like that. Although they have to repurpose a lot of those, and they had certain cars for jumping, certain cars to sit there, certain cars on the road. And I've seen some replicas that are really, really nice.
Saw one on the way here, as a matter of fact, back from Florida. Of course, it was in backwoods Georgia. Where else would it be? 69 Dodge Charger. I think I said it was a 71 in the last segment, but a 69 Dodge Charger. Beautiful car, man.
Do you ever try to slide across the hood? I did that a bunch when I was a teenager. But that was when that was out. Yeah. And we would also do the getting in the car without opening the doors too, just because it was fun.
Yeah.
Back then I was agile and less sturdy.
When
So,
my knees worked, absolutely I got in through the driver's side window. Who didn't? I tried the hood slide once. I dented the hood of my 92 Cadillac Seville. Don't be impressed. This was 2002.
okay. Well, the thing is, the trick to the slide is not putting your whole weight on it. So it's kind of a parkour thing. You're kind of you're sliding, but you're going fast enough to where you're not sinking.
Let me get this in real quick before we go to a break. Don't want to take a ton of time off on it. We have been following the saga of Diamond Sports Group. Those are the folks who were awarded regional team coverage of MLB teams around the country. Well, they have defaulted on another rights fee. They decided not to pay the San Diego Padres their latest rights fee, which means the rights to those games have now been revoked from Diamond Sports Group, the Sinclair subsidiary that operates under the name Bally Sports or Bally Sports, however you want to say it. Because of that, the Padres will no longer play under that umbrella. That means now moving forward, the Padres are going to have their games broadcasted by Major League Baseball. MLB will now run the broadcast of Padres games. And MLB pointed out the Padres fans can now stream every game through their MLB.TV app. Through this Sunday, that is free. After that, market fans can continue to stream games for $20 a month or $75 for the rest of the regular season on MLB.com. But that's not what is interesting. What is interesting is that Padres games will not be subject to blackout while being broadcasted by MLB.com. No Padres games will be blacked out at this point. Why is that interesting? Because it shows you that MLB has always had the ability to show games without them being blacked out. Do you know how frustrating it is to me as a fan to get home all giddy and excited because the Braves play a 1:30 weekday game and Rob is going to get to sit and edit his audio while he watches the Braves play a day game. Very exciting until I turn on MLB Net, who is broadcasting the game that day, and get told, hey, Rob, you're 2 hours and 20 minutes away from the Battery, and it's 1:30 on a Wednesday, but we didn't sell enough tickets, so this game's blacked out. Wildly frustrating. So this just proves that MLB has always had the ability to show games, to not black out games, to not have to get into a media distribution agreement with a second-rate subsidiary of Sinclair, who not only has terrible production value, not only has, at best, average play-by-play guys calling these games, but then blacking out games because of bad reasons. It's a joke, dude. It's always been a joke. And this just shows us that MLB has the ability to do a thing that we have all been asking them to do for a very long time. They just didn't want to. They just didn't want to because they don't care. Never have. This isn't new. This isn't a surprise. This isn't shocking. It's just dumb. MLB once again showing that they care less about their fans than maybe any other professional sporting organization. And listen, all of them put money ahead of fans. You are nothing but a dollar sign to them. Always have been. It is one thing to know that a fact is true and another thing to have to live the experience of that fact being true, right? Out of sight, out of mind. We all go through life every single day knowing that there are awful things happening in the world. There are people who can't get enough to eat. There are countless injustices committed every day against the innocent. But we just kind of have to move on because one person can't fix it. Out of sight, out of mind. We all know that we are nothing more than dollar signs to professional sporting leagues. It just sucks when they prove it, right? It just stings when MLB shows you that showing every game blackout free for a, I think, reasonable subscription price is absolutely a possibility. It's painful. Let's take a break. Third hour is going to get weird. Stick around. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Fan Upstate.
Progressive.com/careers and apply online today and bundle today at Progressive.com. Bob Myers stepping down as Warriors president and GM certainly dominated Tuesday's news cycle. A little more under the radar. According to multiple reports, the Knicks will not extend or renew the contract to GM Scott Perry, who's been in that role over the last 5 years and most recently worked under President Leon Rose, as well as Executive VP William Wesley, that are known as Worldwide West. Baseball notables from last night: Aaron Judge, home run number 18, helping the Yankees dump the Mariners in Seattle 10-2. The Dodgers handled the Nationals 9-3. Freddie Freeman went 4 for 5 with a home run to extend his hitting streak to 19 games for LA. The A's topped the Braves 2-1, scored the winning run on an Atlanta fielding error for only their second instance of back-to-back wins this season. Veteran wideout DeAndre Hopkins, officially a free agent now, figures to have numerous teams interested in his services. The Giants certainly haven't needed that position. The head coach Brian Gable said this morning that they will always do their homework and due diligence on any player who becomes available. Hockey: the Nashville Predators make it official, hiring Andrew Burnett as their new head coach a day after parting ways with John Hines. I'm Chris Lepresti.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language.
Kevin said, I'm in a show hole. What's good to watch right now?
Lessons aren't just robots talking.
Ted Lasso season finale, actually series finale, dropped last night at midnight. Lady friend and I will be finishing the last 2 episodes of Ted Lasso tonight. I am not mentally prepared for that. I tried to get into, what was that show with the guy from Parks and Rec, Succession?
Yeah, a lot of people are raving on that.
Yeah.
It just
I got a couple episodes in. It didn't really do a lot for me. I mean, now if you're into murder mystery stuff, it's not really, it's psychological mystery stuff.
See, I thought it was political, but I've just, when I hear Succession,
I might be thinking of the wrong show.
Yeah, I think politics, and I could be wrong.
No, I'm thinking of a wrong show. Succession is a different show. What is the show that I'm thinking of?
The one with Costner in it, Yellowstone?
No. Severance.
Oh, okay.
Severance. I tried Severance. Courtney loves it. It didn't really do anything for me. So that might be one for you. I tried Yellowstone, and I made it less than a season, and I bailed because it became wildly evident to me that Yellowstone is a show about cowboys written by people who have no idea what cowboys are, right? Like, Yellowstone is a show for the showrunners and directors to live out their cowboy fantasies through actors. It's just bad.
But a lot of people liked it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say mostly women, but mostly women. And why wouldn't they? Kevin Costner is a very attractive man. Dude who plays Rip is a very handsome guy and very rugged and masculine in that show. I get why women dig it. It's for the same reason, because they hear cowboy in their head, and that's the image they get of what they think a cowboy is. And it's as somebody who worked on a ranch, it's just not.
Did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper, and you can get it online? Just go to 4Hims.com.
What did I hear Stephen A. Smith's voice when you said as someone who worked on a ranch?
I know ranches personally. I could call ranches right now.
That's right. Get generic for Viagra. The
Was it a legitimate ranch or a dude ranch?
No, it was a legitimate ranch.
I'm guessing that first word is, the Midor thing. I don't think that's the right thing. You're talking about that show that I watched one episode and realized it was just as bad as the movie that it's based on. No, the worst movie in the history of Star Wars. Also, it's hard to make suggestions unless you know the kind of shows that someone's into. So what are some of your favorite shows, Kevin?
Yeah, give us your top 3 shows.
Warehouse first break.
Warehouse first break. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the metaphorical glass, the great one himself, Lonzo, is along for the ride. As well, let's get some news, notes, and stories in we have not gotten an opportunity to hit on yet. Let's go real quick with this discussion. Eric Mangini is a former NFL coach of the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. I would say he would be described as meh during his career. Like meh. Didn't really break out at either one of those teams. But it is, of course, not stopped Eric Mangini from putting his voice out into the NFL's public space. And sure, everybody has the right to do it. Eric Mangini was asked about Bryce Young. And he said this, Lonzo, and then I want your immediate reaction to it. He said, quote, I think he's in a situation where the expectations are so big, and the best thing that you can do for him is take some of that pressure off. Your job should be constantly resetting expectations and to some degree lowering expectations. This is a rookie quarterback who's going to go through a ton of struggles, and the last thing you want is the whole fan base and the whole world thinking, well, he was so great early. Why is he suddenly struggling now? End quote. What's your gut reaction to that?
I mean, what are his expectations? The first part bothered me. What are the expectations?
I don't think anything less than franchise quarterback is the expectation.
I mean,
you didn't trade up to number one, send
right.
DJ Moore out of town and pay him as much money as you're going to pay him for anything less than franchise quarterback.
So the way I'm hearing it is he's equating it to wins, that there's pressure on him to win a bunch, but it's not going to be that difficult to win more than what you won last year. I think his statement is pretty general for anyone talking about a rookie quarterback. Because you could say the same thing about C.J. Stroud in Houston,
Sure.
about any other
Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis.
I mean, you can say the same thing about all those guys.
You are correct. I am also going to say I completely agree with him. And here's what I mean by that. I don't necessarily know that it is the Carolina Panthers that are creating this pressure on Bryce Young.
Where is the pressure coming from? I haven't heard of any pressure. They're like picked to be last or next to last. I mean, where is this supposed pressure? I just don't see it.
It is not the Panthers putting the pressure on BY. It's the fan base. It's the fan base. And while a couple of fans coming out and saying, I expect greatness out of this guy. It's not a couple of fans.
I'm sorry. You know what you expect? You expect greatness out of any number one pick. You just do. It goes along with being the number one pick.
Correct. I agree. But I think there is a little bit of difference between I expect greatness out of the number one pick and I expect a surefire Hall of Famer. I am very frequently popping around between the message boards and the Reddit threads and the this sites and the that sites and the YouTube videos and all of it. And I can tell you with some level of confidence that, I should rephrase that. I can tell you that I believe Carolina fans are expecting Bryce Young to turn into Patrick Mahomes at the minimum. That's what they're expecting. I think they're expecting Mahomesian levels of success out of BY. And listen, I don't have a problem with that.
Well, we've been told how smart he is and all this stuff. So the buildup has been hearing about his football IQ. And if you have such a high football IQ, then you should be able to do something right away.
I think that, and by the way, through the first week and some change of OTAs, from what I understand, BY has absolutely picked up the offense as quickly as everyone expected him to. He is mastering the offense already. We're a week and a half in. Adam Thielen, I think it was, told the story that you brought up last week at the beginning of the week, Zoe, where the Panther coaches were going over the play sheet and BY pointed out that there was a misprint. He's like, this is not how this play is designed. This is not what I was taught and how this play should be run. And the coaches went, oh, damn, you're right. And they fixed it, right? I think Panthers fans are expecting Mahomesian levels of success. And I don't have an issue with that. Not only was Guy a number one overall pick, and again, that's not on him, I guess. It's also about what you had to do and give to get there. Was DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, would you say those were the two fan favorites of the offense for Panthers fans the last 2 years?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. McCaffrey was already gone. McCaffrey was sent away so that you could muster up some extra ammunition to make a trade that it was becoming more and more obvious you were going to have to make if you wanted a franchise QB. And then you had to send away the other fan favorite, DJ Moore, in order to finish off the trade and get that pick from Chicago to make the move. So I think that for fans, you look at Bryce Young and you're looking at, I want a return on investment. And the investment was really high, right? The investment required to get BY included Christian McCaffrey. It included DJ Moore, and it included a fistful of future draft picks to make it work. And I think fans are of the belief, and not an incorrect one, frankly, that if BY doesn't work out, you have hampered for yourself the opportunity to do something else. You have hampered for yourself the opportunity to make another move in the future because of the resources that you dumped into Bryce Young. I think what Mangini is saying here is that the Panthers should likely be putting in extra effort to try to quell the excitement, because the excitement leads to pressure, right? If you get real excited about something, the pressure to make that thing happen goes through the roof, mainly because of the disappointment if it doesn't. But unlike putting expectations, putting goals, putting happiness on yourself, you're putting it on somebody else. And you're doubling up. Not only does BY knows why he's here, right? He is brought here to be Mahomes. He is brought here to be the future. He's brought here to be the guy.
So you talk about pressure, and I know I make fun of his height all the time, and he points out he's been that height. He's had that pressure for him everywhere he's been because of his height, and people talking about how that's going to be a detriment to how he plays. So I think he can handle whatever pressure, faux pressure, real pressure, whatever out there is, I think he can handle all that. I don't think he's feeling any more pressure than he has anywhere else that he's been.
I don't know, man. I mean, at Alabama, the pressure certainly was there. Bama fans expect greatness out of their team. No doubt about that. But you've got the added, Carolina fans are going to feel the same way. And while the Panther fan base may or may not be as large as the Bama fan base.
I think there's more pressure at Alabama than there will be at Carolina.
I would disagree. And I would disagree because at Carolina, not only are you in a much larger public eye, right? Because the Carolina Panther fan base likely is smaller than the Alabama fan base. Not by a lot, but it likely is. With the Alabama fan base, Tuscaloosa itself, not a big place, not a big city. It's largely just the campus and then a smattering of businesses around it. Charlotte, North Carolina is a major city. It is always going to be in your face, A. B, while Bama fans expect greatness, so do Carolina fans. That's not any different. That's the same expectation. But now Bryce Young is going to be paid, I don't know, $100 million plus over the time that he's there. And I would feel like justifying that paycheck, A, justifying that paycheck, but B, also earning a further pay. Last week, Patrick Mahomes was asked about his legacy and if that should impact his next contract negotiation. And Mahomes said, I'm rich, dude. At this point in my career, it's not about making money. It's about legacy. It's about winning games. It's about winning Super Bowls. It's not about it anymore. But Patrick Mahomes only gets to say that because he's got rings, because he's got wins, because he's got playoff wins, because he's got Super Bowl wins, he's got Super Bowl appearances. Patrick Mahomes only gets to say that because he's been there, done that, right? He only gets to say, I'm not worried about money because he's already loaded because of the contracts he's got. BY's got to earn that rookie money. He's got to earn the first contract extension in 2, 3, 4 years whenever Carolina decides to up him, if they do. He's got all that on top of him, as well as being in the midst of a big-time city that has high expectations, right? This is not C.J. Stroud going to Houston. I don't think Houston fans are expecting Houston to be a contender this year. They like him to be, sure. But I don't think any Houston fans are expecting suddenly the Texans, because of this one guy, are a contender. I don't think the Colts are looking at Anthony Richardson and going, that's our guy. He's going to take us to the promised land. We're ready now. We do feel that way about Carolina. Maybe not because Carolina's assembled a great team, but because Carolina's assembled a very good team and are playing in a very winnable division.
All right, we do feel that way, but nationally, it's not felt that way. If you look at all the projections that I've seen, the Panthers aren't picked to do anything. They're picked to be in the basement or next to last in the South. So, of course, we have expectations, and we know the team a little bit better than they do nationally, but nationally, they don't expect them to win.
I will agree with that. The majority of the projections that I've seen so far have Carolina checking in at the best second in the NFC.
And they have New Orleans being number one.
Correct.
Yeah.
But this is also the same list of preseason projections that last year had Tampa Bay going to a Super Bowl and running the division, running the NFC. They, you'll remember,
they did win the division by default.
By default.
Yeah, but they won.
Yeah. They were projected to be a 12-5, 13-4 kind of team. They were not that, right? So, as you and I have talked about, because here's the thing. While the national media may not be projecting the Carolina Panthers to win the division, we talk to Rashad every Thursday. Rashad thinks they should win the division. You and I talk back and forth. I've told you I think it's a gunfight down to the last bullet between Carolina and New Orleans. But Carolina, I will acknowledge, is absolutely good enough to win the division if Bryce Young is the dude, right? If he's the dude. Right now, who do you take? Derek Carr, Andy Dalton?
Well, I'd take Derek Carr.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you need BY to be the dude to win the division. But the thing is, Carolina fans are at a spot where patience is non-existent, right? They're ready to go now. And I think you kind of have to go now. It's not going to be many years that you can look at the preseason of a division and go, this division's bad. It's winnable. And it is, right? If Derek Carr brings 2 additional wins to the Saints this year, they're a 10-win team in a 17-game season. Is 10 wins impossible for the Panthers? Because while the Saints, I do think, got better, they do get Michael Thomas back this year. Chris Olave's going into his second year. He had a great rookie campaign. Derek Carr is obviously an upgrade from Andy Dalton at the starting quarterback position. I think the Saints got better. I also think the Panthers got better too. And they had an identical record last year. This division is quite winnable for the Carolina Panthers. But if it's going to be quite winnable, it's going to be because BY, by week 3 or 4, steps into the quarterback 1 role and takes off. And is comfortable.
We're going to fight about this the entire offseason. He's starting game 1.
We'll see.
No way.
Honestly, I don't think there's any need to fight about
You
it.
know what? If he doesn't start till 3 or 4, then there is no pressure on him at all. What's the pressure? There's a starting quarterback ahead of you.
I think it would 100% be dependent on what the situation in the conference looks like when he takes over, right? I've pointed out, if Carolina beats Atlanta in week 1 and New Orleans stumbles against Tennessee, Carolina might have the division lead after week 1. Now, there's going to be some interesting questions about, like, do you ride Andy Dalton until he falters? Andy Dalton's already expressed very publicly. He knows why he's here, right? He's a bridge quarterback. He knows what he is. He knows his role. Are you rolling him out until the Panthers lose? Are you rolling him out until the Panthers are 1, 2, 3 games out of the division lead and it's time for the comeback? Like, what's the situation? But to say there's no pressure, because even if you say there's no pressure on him for this individual year, it would be, I think, incorrect to say that there's no pressure on BY to be the franchise QB, because as you've pointed out multiple times, you don't draft a QB at number 1 overall for him to come in and be a journeyman or even be a good quarterback. You bring him in to be great.
All right, here's my prediction. We'll see if it comes true. We're about a month away from the Panthers showing up at Wofford. They'll be there starting the 27th of July, and June is tomorrow. So, I mean, we're about a month away. I'm willing to bet, I probably shouldn't have said it that way, that Bryce Young will be the starter for the fan day. You know, the fan day that they moved to Saturday, which still bothers me, where everybody is at. So you think that means nothing?
No. I think that's exactly what Eric Mangini is talking about. I would not do that. I would not do that.
He's who the fans want to see. They don't want to see Andy Dalton walk out there. They want to see it.
Correct.
A fan fest should be for fans.
Correct. I agree with you. But this is exactly Mangini's point. If we go out to Fan Fest and we throw Bryce Young out there as QB1 on Fan Day for the Fan Fest game, which, by the way, is half speed, vanilla, half the playbook football.
Doesn't matter. It's an amazing thing. And he also has a history to live up to, because Cam Newton played that crowd like nobody else.
Right.
Is he going to come out and do that?
I think maybe I'm not communicating it correctly, but I think you're absolutely driving my point without realizing you're driving my point.
But I don't think there's pressure. What I'm saying is I believe he's going to be the starter, and I think we're going to see him out there on Fan Day because he's going to be the starter.
To be the starter, he has to what? Clearly beat down Andy Dalton, right? I think that's the low benchmark.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be the starter, he's got to beat Andy Dalton. There's pressure to do
if you are the number 1 pick, and yes, I know Andy Dalton had some really good years and wasn't that bad last year, but if you are the number 1 pick, the young guy coming out of college that everybody wanted, and you can't beat out Andy Dalton, then there's a problem.
Okay. So, again, this is exactly what I'm talking about, exactly what Mangini's talking about, and I agree with. If they run Bryce Young out there as QB1 on Fan Day, and Bryce Young goes out there and half speed, vanilla, half the playbook football, and he looks wonderful, then what do the fans start doing? They start screaming for him to be QB1. Why? Because they have expectations of greatness out of the gate.
But Rob, ain't nobody yelling for Andy Dalton to be the starter. Ain't nobody yelling right now. You find me a Carolina fan who says, I want Andy Dalton as our number 1 first day starter.
So then let's address, instead of what Eric Mangini is saying, let's express how the Carolina Panthers can do what Eric Mangini is saying if they have an interest. And the way you do that is by not doing any of the things you're asking for. It's by not sitting here, and even if it's for a fan day, pretending at all like BY is QB1, because every time you do that, the fan base gets more excited. They believe, oh, he's ready, right? If he's QB1 today, that means he's ready. He's ready to roll out week 1. All you're doing is increasing expectations, increasing the pressure on the guy. And while he seems to absolutely be a guy that has handled pressure well his entire career, the NFL is the precipice. It's the apex of this industry that he is in playing quarterback. And if you send him out there in week 1 with the entire weight of a fan base down on his shoulders, and he is not 100.000% ready to do it, you risk putting a crack in the foundation, and I don't want to do that.
All right, so this bothers me because there's pressure in every single job. There's pressure in turning on your mic every day because you have the pressure of trying to be entertaining enough to maintain your job. There's pressure in every profession. No more there's more pressure in being a policeman or a fireman or something like that. But if you're doing a job where you're not saving or protecting lives, there's still pressure there. I mean, what job has no pressure? I think it's overblown. Oh my gosh, he's got so much pressure on him. So go out and do your job. We all got pressure on us. So I don't believe that factors in. Either he's going to be ready or he's not.
I would disagree. If that was the case,
of course, because if we agreed on everything, where would the fun
show, right?
be with that?
You can do everything to train somebody up, right? Like we have had plenty of dudes who have come in here and chicks who have come in here to hang out with us, and we run them through the basics of radio. We put them on before we put them on the air, right? Speak into the microphone, enunciate, slow down, try not to don't do this, do that, don't do this, do that. And then they go, yeah, I got it. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. And then we turn on the mic, and then it's no, because there's pressure. You know what the pressure is. You know there's 2 million people.
Yeah, I still do that, and it's because I'm not very smart. It has nothing to do with pressure.
Lonzo, you and I can sit over in the room and have wholesale. Okay, let me rephrase that. It ain't about you. All right, let me pull the old reverse Rob Brown here. It's not about you, right? We can bring guests in here. We've had it happen before with both celebrities and sponsors and just friends, normal people, whatever. You've probably done it on the Pulse where you bring somebody in and they're charismatic and they're comfortable and they're easy to talk to and there's no lulls in the conversation and they're well-spoken, yada, yada, yada. And then you crack the mic and now they know there's millions and millions of the Lonzo's fans listening around the world, and they clam up. They suddenly lose the ability to communicate well. That is a direct response to pressure. Do I think that BY has the football version of that? No. As he's pointed out, as everybody's pointed out, he's won everywhere he's gone despite overwhelming pressure in high school in the most prestigious college football program in America. There's no reason to suspect the same won't happen in the NFL, but I don't need to test the theory, right? If NASA builds a new rocket, sending it into space has a lot of pressure to it. That's why the first thing they do when they turn it on isn't launch it, right? They put a lot of good work into the calculations and the measurements and the dimensions and the physics and the fuel mix and yada, yada, yada. They've done all that. They know all the numbers. And all the numbers on the sheet of paper are going to say, this thing's ready to fly. This thing's ready to go. And how many times have we seen a well-designed, well-constructed, well-engineered, well-put-together rocket that takes off, goes 10 feet in the air, and explodes, right? The first thing you do is you test that rocket on the ground. You run a simulation. Then you run an engine test. You run a booster test. You run a thruster test. You run a physics test. And you do all these things before you roll it out to the launch pad and see if it makes it to space. BY's a rocket for the Carolina Panthers. but put it through all of the paces first before you roll it out there to launch it, because a bunch of people are looking at the launch pad like, whoa, let's go. Test that thing, man. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Warehouse.
Live read here, guys. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
America got passed over, or scratch that, screwed over, because their stadium apparently doesn't hold enough people to meet the financial demands of the NCAA. It's freaking pathetic. The Gamecocks were unranked. Campbell is number 12. Hosting bids go to 16.
Yeah, I agree, Joe.
Doesn't get one.
But what if he's ready? I mean, maybe he's ready right now. If he's as smart as they say, if he's grasped the offense, if he can handle the speed of the game, then he should be out there. And he's no more at risk now of getting hurt than he will be 2 years from now. Because you can put some more muscle on that frame, but he's still going to be that height. No, we're not doing that this year, Trey. We got to do it 1 year, though, which was really cool. I agree. They'll make the right call, whatever it is. So if they say he should be out there first day, then I believe they believe he should be out there first day. I doubt there's going to be pressure from Tepper saying, he's our first round pick. He's got to be out there. I doubt that that's going to be the case. I still think he's going to be starting first game, though. Stop it, Steven. I don't know what you're talking about. Without a doubt, Zonation is the way to go. It's got a ring to it. It probably already exists as well as it should.
I'm squarely Team Pappy. Squarely Team Pappy. Big
But
fan.
we're not talking about him. He asked what my fans would be. I don't really have fans. I got some people going, yeah, he's all right. I don't know if that's really fans or not. And then there's the other, I hate that guy. As long as you don't want to be violent, it's okay. I don't know. When I think Zodiac, I think killer, Steven. So no,
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. Got a little bit of breaking news that dropped on us yesterday evening. Dennis Dodd put it out. College football expansion has hit a bit of a lull. Now, I've told you guys, it's not over. The Big Ten, the SEC are always going to be looking to see what crown jewels they can pick up.
So lull as in L-U-L-L, not
Correct.
L-O-L. Okay, just clarify.
Correct. College football expansion has hit a lull. The SEC and the Big Ten are always going to be looking to see if they can snag the next crown jewels. The Big 12 is looking to do the same, though the crown jewels probably won't be as lucrative. The ACC just changed its revenue distribution for postseasons of revenue-generating sports in order to appease Clemson and Florida State, Miami and North Carolina, and keep them happy so the ACC can continue to survive. But this latest bit of news, I think, might be a renewed spark in the powder keg that is college football expansion. Dennis Dodd is reporting that the University of Colorado, that Dion's school, is actively engaged in what he is considering, quote, due diligence, end quote, to determine if the right move would be a move back to the Big 12. Now, the Buffaloes are in wait-and-see mode, as are pretty much every party in college football right now. That's why I'm saying we've hit a lull. The SEC and the Big Ten are hanging out waiting to see what happens with the ACC, if Miami and North Carolina might be available. I promise you the Big Ten is having the same looks at Florida State and Clemson right now, not making moves, not having conversations, just keeping an eyeball pointed in that direction. So Colorado, as they are as of right now, one of the most visible programs in college football, courtesy of the arrival of Deion Sanders, Colorado is putting out the feelers. Colorado has reached out to the Big 12 to see what a move might take up. Dodd is reporting that Colorado and the Big 12 have met face-to-face while involved in consistent talks over a period of the last several months. According to multiple sources, it was made clear that a move to the Big 12 would not be made without the support of Deion Sanders. So that's a voice we've still got to wait to see. And knowing Deion, it probably won't take long for that to happen. CU's rumored Big 12 interest was the talk of the Fiesta Summit earlier this month in Scottsdale, Arizona, with several sources speculating in the hallways. It became more public last week when the Oklahoman's Barry Trammell reported, quote, Colorado is ready to commit to joining the Big 12 soon, end quote. Rick George is Colorado's athletic director. He said, quote, I have no comment other than what I said last week. We are proud members of the Pac-12. In a perfect world, we'd love to be in the Pac-12, but we also have to do what is right for Colorado at the end of the day. Both Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark and Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff have had no comment on this discussion so far. A representative for Dion did not respond to CBS Sports' request for comment. Here's why this is big. One of two things is about to happen at at Colorado University. One of two things is about to happen in Boulder. Either A, it's going to turn out Dion actually is a good coach on top of a stellar recruiter, and CU is going to quickly rise up the ranks of the Pac-12 and become a solid chunk of revenue-generating football. Or, number two, Deion Sanders is going to do what I think he's going to do. He's going to realize that, sure, you might still be able to get a lot of great players to show up at your hizzy just because they are Deion Sanders, but you still have to be able to coach. You still got to know how to put the X's and O's and the Jimmies and the Joes in the right spots, running the right routes, playing the right coverages, etc. And it's going to go very poorly for CU. One of those two. If the first one happens, Colorado could very quickly rise to being a prominent money-generating program that would be a feather in the cap for a Big 12 that is not only trying to stay relevant, right? Because it's not just that the Big 12 is trying to stay relevant. They most certainly are. The Big 12 is also trying to stay one step ahead of the ACC because it has become, I think, based on the discussions I've listened to and had, it has become very obvious that the majority belief is that down the line, we're going to end up with two super conferences, the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference, and we're going to end up with an everybody else conference. It would appear right now, especially with this news for the Big 12, it would appear right now as if the Pac-12 is likely the team that is going to suffer, that is going to see Crown Jewels leave, and is going to be the first of the standing teams that are going to end up in a situation that is untenable for their existence. If Colorado wants out, Oregon and Washington are, allegedly, already exploring the possibility of joining USC and UCLA in the Big Ten. If they do that, the Pac-12 is done, bro. They're done. They will have nothing left that will allow them to continue to compete with the ACC and the Big 12. They will be done. The Big 12 will likely have the easier job of picking whatever are the top tier programs remaining. You're probably looking at Cal. You're probably looking at Oregon State. But they will have the easiest route because of the region ties, the proximity of geography. The ACC will have a hand in the deals. You might have a Pacific Coast team in the Atlantic Coast Conference. We'll find out. But Colorado has just stomped on the gas pedal. Because if the Pac-12 does indeed lose Washington and Oregon, Colorado is one of the last remaining programs with any level of prestige to it. Not high prestige, but some level of prestige remaining to it. And if that is the case, and Colorado bolts before Oregon and Washington do, first off, it makes Oregon and Washington that much more likely to move, right? One of the only other places that brings in revenue for the conference on a way that is of any importance, now gone as well. It makes Oregon and Washington more likely to move. And again, if Oregon and Washington move, the Pac-12's toast at that point. We want to have the Power Four and then the remnants of the Pac-12 that don't get picked up by the ACC. And by the way, I say all of this as if the SEC and Big Ten wouldn't come in and pick up whatever pieces are left if they felt there was any value there, right? I would not be shocked to learn that if Oregon and Washington are considering the Big Ten, that the SEC wouldn't make a play for Oregon State and Washington State, not because those schools fit, although I think that's an antiquated term that doesn't really hold a lot of water anymore. Not because those schools fit or don't fit. They would make a move. Why? To contest the unilateral possession of a good chunk of the country by solely the Big Ten. You would want to plant the SEC's flag alongside the Big Ten's flag in the Pacific Northwest. That'd be a move. As of right now, there's nothing insinuating that that is a reality or even discussion of possibility. But if Colorado jumps to the Big 12, it makes Washington and Oregon more likely to go Big 10. And if Washington and Oregon go Big 10, the SEC likely is going to want to grow by 2 more teams. And if they want to grow by 2 more teams, the question is, where do they draw those teams from? Does the SEC get back into the year of the ACC schools and go, hey, look, we know you kind of took a small step in the direction that you wanted to, Miami and North Carolina, but you're still getting screwed and we can pay you more? Try to put that party together again to dissolve the ACC. Does the SEC go, all right, the Big Ten is now in the Pacific Northwest. We need to be as well. Let's make the move. Let's go grab Washington State and Oregon State so that the Big Ten picked up 2 and we picked up the rivals. Now we got direct rivalries in that hood. I don't know. I am taken aback a little. I am surprised a little that it is the University of Colorado that is forcing the next step, but it is the Colorado Buffaloes that are forcing the next step. I'm intrigued by what comes next. Keep in mind, the Big 12 is in flux right now. The Big 12 does not know what kind of media rights deal it's going to be able to make the next time it rolls around. But the Big 12, according to multiple reports, the Big 12 is the conference that they are looking at for the sake of comparison. The Big 12 has a $31.7 million per team television revenue package deal right now. Especially if the Pac-12 loses Colorado, Washington, Wisconsin. You think they're going to be able to match $31.7 million per team straight up, not including postseason revenue? No, not at all. So not only does Colorado, after a dozen years, make the jump back to the Big 12, but they increase the Big 12's profitability. They decrease the Pac-12's possibility, making it more likely that Oregon and Washington won out, and the whole thing gets a dose of nitrous oxide poured right back into the combustion engine of college football expansion. I am intrigued, kids. And I did not think it would be Colorado that was the next school that caused a spark in this discussion. But here we are. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Got another story or two before we get Twitter trending topics and get out of here for the day. My name is Rob Brown. Those on the ones and twos. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about? Hey, Tron. Hang on.
Their second straight loss, 2-1 the final. They wasted a solid effort from starting pitcher Bryce Elder, who went 7 in the third. Just 1 run allowed. His ERA National League best at 1.93. With the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth, Jonah Bryan hit a sharp grounder that was fouled by Austin Riley. That brought out Seth Brown across the plate. Atlanta's lead atop the National League East, now 4.5 games better than the Marlins and the Mets. Atlanta will look to avoid an embarrassing sweep this afternoon. Lefty Jared Schuster, the scheduled starter, first pitch from Oakland, 3:37 Eastern. South Atlantic League on Tuesday, Asheville beat Wilmington 7-6. Hickory over Greenville 5-1. Winston-Salem beat Greensboro 7-5. Rome shut out Bowling Green 6-0. International League Charlotte doubled up Nashville 4-2. Norfolk beat Gwinnett 9-7. The Fan Upstate is your home for Furman Paladin sports all year long. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Taylor Bishotti with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. New free agent DeAndre
We should have time to squeeze in a phone call.
Okay. As he begins his search for a new team, according to our NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. The former Cardinals receiver had previously represented himself in contract negotiations, but will now be represented by Kelton Crenshaw of Clutch Sports. One of Hopkins' former Texans teammates, Deshaun Watson, said he would love to have Hopkins join him in Cleveland. That duo helped lead the Texans to back-to-back division titles in 2018 and 2019. Bengals receiver Tyler Boyd is entering the final year of his contract. But at his first practice of the offseason, Boyd said Cincinnati is where he wants to be, new deal or not. Elsewhere in the division, Steelers wideout George Pickens says he felt snubbed after being left off the Pro Bowl roster in his rookie season last year, but aims to achieve that honor in 2023. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now for this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on
We're always considering it, Trey.
retirement.
Problem is Rob has 37 jobs.
Free book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms that will help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And it's free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits from financially strong insurers.
Call 800-715-9880.
That's right, annuity.
Yeah, it's true, I do.
Both absolutely free for calling today.
Call 800-715-9880. That's 800-715-9880.
Sponsored by Annuity General. Producers have the appropriate licenses for the products.
By the way, you were asking me yesterday about guests for next week, and I forgot I'm on vacation, so doesn't matter who I won't be here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You can ask Brandon who he wants. No, we're not, Steven. I mean, he can do what he wants to on his own, but it will not be endorsed by me or pushed by me, or yeah, it's not happening.
Yes, we're getting a Pappy one shot because I think it would be pure chaos.
But again, Rob has 37 jobs, so we don't know when that's going to happen. And yes, I will participate in that. I might be ashamed, but I will do my best. You guys have only gotten a taste of how demented that possibly would be.
I think it'd be incredible.
I hear all his ideas before he subjects people to them on other D&D campaigns. So. Hey, I'm a dedicated listener to that too. Maybe someday we'll do it again.
Don't get dramatic once this started.
I am not being dramatic. I don't know how to do such a thing.
This afternoon, times of clouds and sun, high of 78.
Weather brought to you by Twisted Tea. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea.
Save the drama for your mama.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
from the free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio.
Tron.
Let me get my dude Tron in here real quick before we run to Twitter trending topics and call it a day. Tron, welcome back, young man. How you doing, big fella?
What's going on, Rob? Man, I was just calling about this college football thing, the movement. Man, at this point, they might as well just divide the country into 4 quadrants, make it like the NFL, and just run it like that. Because, I mean, we're not caring about regions or anything like that. It's just easier to do it that way.
It's one of those things that, sure, right? Like if we just scrapped everything about college football and you made Rob the czar of college football, sure. Football in the Southeast from North Carolina down over to Texas and across is one. From Arizona through California up to Washington is one. The Midwest is one and the Northeast is one. And then every year we play. Sure. That's all well and good. The problem, Tron, is this thing has become such a monster of a machine, and there are so many people who have 7-figure and 8-figure paychecks involved here. That ain't going to happen. You know it. I know it. We got to play within the system that's already in place. So the question is, what do you do? If you're the ACC and the Big 12, you try to survive, and getting Colorado with Deion Sanders attached to it would be a big boost for the Big 12.
You're right. I mean, yeah. I mean, it just seems like all that is going away anyway. I mean, there's no more rivalries. We don't have the regional rivalries anymore. That's going away. I mean, especially you got LA coming to the East Coast. I mean, I think it's already over with.
Tron, good to talk to you, big dog. Appreciate you. I'm not going to get that dramatic. We still have rivalries. They're still playing out. Clemson, South Carolina, still going to play. Florida State, still going to play. Texas, Oklahoma, still going to play. But as the conferences get bigger, and we'll talk about this on tomorrow's show, the question is, do we have secondary rivalries? Because I think that's the threat.
Now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
Sorry, premature button pushing.
No, it's fine. I went real late there.
It happens in my
like
age.
18 seconds late.
All right. I definitely want to make sure we had time for this. NASA is trending.
NASA is trending. So I know SpaceX had a rocket go up last night over my mom's neighborhood, Pensacola, Florida, that had like 3 sonic booms pop off, and people were freaking out about it. But I don't know if that's got any connection.
Today they are doing a panel on UFOs.
Interesting.
Not sure what time, but people are pretty excited about that.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rob Brown. I'm the director of NASA. I appreciate you coming all tonight and being here for this press conference. Just wanted to issue a quick comment about the discussions of UFOs taking place on social media. And I will say this, we don't know that they're not aliens. The overwhelming majority of them are literally just planes that you see, except in weird lighting conditions. Can everybody please calm the hell down?
All right.
Thank you.
So I hope today that they bring evidence that UFOs actually exist. So Rob has to come on the air and go, you know what? I was wrong.
Once again,
they do exist.
I've pointed out, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying I don't believe they do. There is a difference.
Now I'm going to go to the next topic on Twitter Trending Topics. And it's Pat McAfee.
Pat got his fat contract with ESPN. He has already been announced as taking over, I think, Tony Reali's job on one of the debate shows. Is kind of
Is he really? I didn't hear that. Okay.
Yeah, that was a rumor floating around on Twitter. I have not substantiated it because I didn't care enough to go do the research. From what I understand, he is taking over Reality's job on, Around the Horn, I think. He's going to move into the moderator role there. Obviously he's going to be a mainstay on Game Day now, but I'm not sure why he's trending.
Just his contract, which is $85 million for 5 years. And then people are pointing out that his FanDuel contract was $120 for 4 years. But as he said, he's tired of doing the management part and all that kind of stuff. So it's worth taking the money drop if indeed it is.
40,
I mean, if you look at 85 over 5, 120 over, I'm sure there's some other stuff in there.
Listen, it is, to say it's not dramatically less money would be a lie. It's still an ass load of money that he's making. And as he pointed out, do you understand the difference in doing this job where if I made less the salary, but my only responsibility was what goes out over the air, Lonzo, I'd be a very happy boy.
Yeah, we do a lot more, which is why we don't have time for the wrestling podcast that people are wanting. And don't think for a second that we don't want to do it. we're just really busy. All right. The last thing that's trending is Clint Eastwood.
So I don't know if this is why. Apparently, Robert De Niro just got his 60 years younger than him girlfriend of 4 months knocked up. And now people are making comparisons between him and Eastwood because Eastwood was a known gallivanter of younger women for a while. I don't know if that's why.
Nah, it's his birthday. He's 93.
Oh, that's much more fun.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, it
but
depends on if you're Clint Eastwood or not.
yeah, there's that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you much for being here tomorrow. We will talk about the SEC scheduling conflict and what it would mean for the Gamecocks. We'll also look at and break down the regionals, which start on Friday. I got a path for both the Gamecocks and Clemson to win and lose their regionals. I'll tell you what they are when we come back. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Use ZipRecruiter, and now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco.
And we are 24 hours away from me trying to decide, do I risk my leg to try and bowl? And I will.
And I will.
Will I risk my leg to try and laser tag? Yes, I will.
Competition's competition, baby. That's what we do. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out. You're all spectacular human beings. We appreciate you greatly. Tell your friends about the stream. Have them join us. Let's have some fun. Trying to grow the show. #grow the show. See you back here tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.